Hello and welcome to my latest What Sold video. My name is Trisha and my store name is Sandy and Otto, and right now I am kind of a full-time eBay, Poshmark, ThreadUp, a little bit of Etsy seller. And I'll have all my store information down below if you want to check it out. This week, for the week of April 9th through April 15th, I only have eBay and Poshmark sales. ThreadUp was a little slow, I think, in processing some of their goodie bag or goodie box items, and so I did just get paid for some yesterday, which will show up on next week's What Sold video. So for right now, I'm going to go through the, again, April 9th through April 15th. I had 24 sales in total. 18 of them were eBay, 6 were Poshmark. And the interesting thing about Poshmark, even though I'll show those last, I'm going to jump in and say I only sold one clothing item on Poshmark because I do cross-list, aside from the Holly Hobby items, which I'll talk about because I sold a bundle of those on eBay. I don't have any of those cross-listed on Poshmark, but I do cross-list just about, I'd say, at least 95% of everything else that I list on eBay onto Poshmark because there is a lot of interest in it. It's not just for clothing since they opened up the home market, and it's not just for contemporary things because I list vintage items over there all the time. I get lots of interest and sales from them. So yeah, Poshmark is another great avenue for all your other types of listings besides just clothing. But first up, I'll talk about this nice little bundle that I have for Holly Hobby. It was this plaque, which I think is a chalkware plaque. It is so heavy that I didn't want to say chalkware. I wasn't 100% sure, but it sure looked like chalkware to me. But it was super heavy. It did have a couple condition issues, but it was a very unique kind of one-of-a-kind piece. This again, I believe this was probably a hand-painted item. I don't really recall ever seeing anything quite like this in other Holly Hobby collections, but I could be wrong. But it was very cute on wood. And then up next were these like 3D shadow box. There's a pair of them. And they were very intricate in their design. Very cute. And all of these Holly Hobby items came from my mother's collection. She's doing some downsizing, and so we are selling off her collection. This candle had a little bit of a condition issue, you can see right there. And I think, yeah, I have a closer up picture of it, unfortunately, but the rest of it was great. And again, don't really see a lot of these in the Holly Hobby collection. And I think this was, yeah, this was the last one, was this transferware, or transfer, but it was uncut. And I was able to, and of course these were shipping cross-country with this really heavy item in it. And so I was able to fit everything into a large flat rate box, which when you're dealing with all these items, that large box gets really small really fast when you're trying to fit all these things into it. But I was able to fit everything in very nicely, even the candle. The candle had me a little worried because that was really the only breakable item that I was worried about, but I got everything to fit in there, and it did ship out at a much cheaper cost, which I think was only $20 to ship everything in the large flat rate box, where other shipping options were a lot more expensive for the weight of everything. So that was really fun. And all those items together, I did accept a best offer of $30 for those, because I have at various times had the Holly Hobby up to even 50% off at various times, and felt that $30 for all of those items was a good deal to send off to a nice collector of those items. And so moving on to the other items I sold, this was a framed picture of a cross stitch pattern. And on this one, I did accept a best offer of $20. I was running a 24% off for most of the week. But this one, they asked for 20 and I accepted that. And it was a very nice framed job. And you can see, you know, some of the details of the cross stitching on that. And next was this other picture. This was framed, but there was no glass. And I wasn't 100% sure if this was like original art or not. It was hard to tell. Even in touching it, it was kind of hard to tell. It could have been kind of a textured print. I'm not sure. But this I did take a best offer of $21 on this item. And on all of these items, the buyer pays shipping. And I do run, oh, I wanted to mention too, I do run a 2% promoted listing on all of my eBays. So when I'm filling out my listing screen down at the bottom, I do put 2% promoted listing on all of my listings. And of the 18 items I had on eBay, I had actually, well, I had 8, but that kind of included the 5 bundles, or the 5 items in the bundle of Holly Hobby. So I guess that's more like 13 items of the 18 items sold off of the 2% promoted listing. So I think that was probably the highest percentage I've had so far that have sold off of the promoted listing, what I'm trying to say. Up next are these Monroe shoes, and these I did take a best offer of $22 on them. They were nice, in really good condition, leopard print on those. But you know, being the times that they are, I have taken some lower offers, and this was one of them. Felt just right about doing that. These were a size 9.5, so they were a really good size. I had sent these into Thread Up, and they didn't accept them. I don't know if it was the style or the size, or if they just felt they weren't contemporary enough. But after having listed them for, gosh, I want to say like less than 2 weeks, they sold, and they had quite a bit of interest in them, lots of looks on them. So I think that they definitely are a style and a brand that sell fairly quickly. Up next is another print that I have. This was a really nice, this artist does a lot of sketching, and I guess I have one of his, which is a San Francisco shot. This is a New Orleans shot, and it's a print, but he does sketching. This isn't an original. And I did, let's see, this one sold for, I have $13.67. And I'm not sure how I got that amount. I may have to double check my work on that. But I have it sold for $13.67 off of a sale. But anyways, it was a nice. It wasn't a very large print. This was probably altogether in the frame. Maybe with the frame, it was like maybe 8 by 10, maybe 6 by 9, something like that. So it wasn't a very large print at all, but it looks really nice. Up next is this Rose Bowl mug, University of Washington Huskies. I totally made a mistake in the title. This was the 92 Rose Bowl. They were the 91 Pac-10 champs. But even though I made the mistake, luckily somebody figured out what I was talking about and found it and purchased it for the full asking price of $34.99. And this one again was sold off of a promoted listing. So that was a really nice sale this week. And this was a beautiful teacup. You can see that it was a sweet pea design, and the colors were really vivid on this. This was for April, and it was a special, oh gosh, something of the month. Every month the Royal Albert had a different flower for each month, and this just happened to be April. And I've been going through all of my hard goods, particularly in the past month and some, and really getting those listed because my death pile was a little out of control. And I didn't like where I was storing them. I want to use that space for something else. And it's like, well, if you want to use it for something else, you better list it and get it out of here and get it reorganized somewhere else. So that's what I've been working on. So I don't know if because I have been pumping through much more hard goods than clothing, if they've been selling more, or if people really are just looking more for hard goods and collectibles and things to enhance their homes and not as much on clothing. I'm not sure which it is. I just may be setting off the algorithm because of constantly listing a variety of hard goods. But this one sold for a best offer of $14. And this was a FabFitFun item, and I was actually planning on keeping and using this, but kind of wanted the money instead to sell it. And I hate to be that way because I usually do really enjoy the items and try to use as much as I can from FabFitFun. I don't like selling off the items, but right now, just kind of with everything that's going on, if I can have a couple dollars instead of having an item that, yes, it would be nice to use, but I really don't need it. So this was nice that I found a good home for it for $8.35. And up next, these again were my mom's that she doesn't wear anymore, but these were very vintage, most likely from the early 90s. They were very high-waisted, Bermuda type shorts with the pleats in the front. They were from the Gap. They were button front. I've got a picture of it right there. They were button front. So really, really nice. Still in good condition. My mom takes good care of her clothes, but she just doesn't wear these anymore. So we found a good home for them, and they did sell. Let me double check. Where are they? Here. So they did sell for the sale price of $15.19. And up next is another item that was a FabFitFun, and these are the Stone Cold Fox tea towels, and I did accept a best offer of $8 on those. And this is an item, this again was another FabFitFun item, but this one had previously sold on Poshmark, this and another item. And the gal sent them back and canceled the order, which no problem. I certainly understand with everything that's going on. So that was not a problem at all. Poshmark handled it great. And so I was able to relist the items, and this time it sold on eBay. And it sold for $17.99. So that went off to its new home. This was an item, this was a really pretty hanging globe for like an air plant. I am not good with air plants. This one did not do well. The one I got after it, I think this one I overwatered too much. The other one I underwatered too much. I think I tried even a third time, and I'm just not an air plant person. And so I really didn't feel like I was going to have another use for this. So I just went ahead and sold this, and where is it in my notes? There. I took a best offer of $14 on this because I knew the shipping cost was going to be a little high just because of the size of the box that was going to be needed, and all the packing materials to make sure it arrived safely. This was a really fun find. I remember, you know, with Hello Kitty and all the little characters that go with Hello Kitty. I remember this one and saw this, and it was in great shape for its age. It's from the 90s, 99. And this is going through the global shipping program to Canada. And it sold for $22.99, and it did sell off of a promoted listing. And the last eBay item I'm going to show you is clothing. This was a really pretty manteau. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Sleeveless dress, really pretty dress, size medium. And this I accepted a best offer of $14 on. And so those were my 18 eBay sales. Again, 7 sold during my 24% off sale. 9 I did accept best offer. Some were on sale, some were not on sale. And right now, currently, I don't have a sale running, but as soon as I'm done with this, I will probably set up a sale to run through the weekend. I do try to, especially around the 15th on Fridays, for the people who are still working and the people who are still getting paid. Fridays and the 15th and the 30th are good times to kind of schedule sales around, as they are getting paid, and maybe have a little more free money to spend on some items for themselves. So on to Poshmark and the interesting things I sold on Poshmark this last week. First up, again, is a non-clothing item. So you'll see that I have, of the 6 items, 5 of them are really non-clothing items, but this is a vintage item, and vintage sells on Poshmark. This one I had listed for $9 because I did not have the, it looks like 4 little spice containers were on top of this, but I thought when I was at the thrift store, the artwork is just, it's so unique and so different, very Japanese, kind of that mid-century into the 60s, maybe even 70s kind of look, but very interesting artwork on this. And it was just too fun to pass up, even though it didn't have the other spice containers. But I did sell that for $9. And up next is, this is from 2008, Williams Sonoma, a rooster mug, and the gal wrote back that she absolutely loves this, and so I was very happy. Sold this for a best offer of $7. So it's always, in this time, I am happy to make someone happy with a great sale on, you know, just a low-cost item. But if it's going to make somebody happy these days, I am all for it. This was a really fun find. I believe this originally is a set of 3, but I was only able to find 2 of them. They were in rough condition. There's some kind of a molded metal. If I can click on that, yeah. Not really sure about too much about them, even though there are a bunch listed on there. They were in kind of rough condition. I think they had been banged around at the Goodwill quite a bit. But I did accept an offer of $10 on those, thinking that they'd be really fun for, a man cave or even, a boy's room, something like that. So that was a good sale on that. And up next is a charm bracelet. The charms were just so intricate on these, so much detail in such a teeny tiny little charm, that I had to pick this one up. And I accepted a best offer of, oh no, I sold it for 15, and I did offer the $2.12 shipping discount on this item for the buyer. And then up next is this Barefoot Dreams, which is the only as close to clothing as I'm going to have for a sale on Poshmark. I did accept a best offer of $50 on this. This was a size 2, which I believe they only came in 2 sizes, a size 1 and a size 2. And it was in fantastic condition, super soft. Really, really nice. I can see why people really, really like these Barefoot Dreams bathrobes. And again, selling it on Poshmark was great because I didn't have to worry about boxes, box size, weight, any of that, to get that to the buyer. And last up, the very last item I have for sale was this Anthropologie salt and pepper shaker. And this was in the thrift store on a wall where they just kind of baggy together a bunch of things that are really small like this. And it was just kind of sitting there buried on there. But I always go through those when I'm in the thrift store. And I came across this. And at first I was kind of looking at the tray going, oh, that's kind of like lusterware. But the design of the salt and pepper shakers didn't quite match. And then when I flipped it over and saw the back and I saw an Anthropologie sticker, I went, oh, well, that's exciting. And it looks like this is a retired, what am I trying to think of? Model, I don't know, I can't remember the word. So they're not making these anymore, and so this design I think is a little more highly desirable. Had tons of looks, lots of interest on these, and then finally did sell them after, oh gosh, maybe 3 weeks or so, for $30. And so, yeah, I just wanted to just kind of say how interesting it was on the things that have been selling for Poshmark. I do share my closet, my entire closet, like every day, every other day or so, time permitting. And so all my clothing and everything is getting refreshed. It's just that right now there's, I think, interest elsewhere other than specific clothing. So let's get to the numbers that I have. All of my cost of goods, I kind of do an annual averaging, which is $2.25 for all of my cost of goods. And so for the 24 items I sold, my cost of goods was $54. My fees for eBay, Poshmark, and PayPal were $85.20. My total sales for the week were $377.18, which is up 70, almost $80 over last week, which is nice. And that gives me a profit of $264.90 for those 24 items. So thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Next week I will again be including some ThredUp items that have sold in goodie boxes. Because of ThredUp extending the sales or the return policy until they've added several weeks, most of my items that have been sold on ThredUp but have gone to kind of external clients who have been shopping their website, I won't get paid on those until May. And so it's still going to be another couple weeks until I'm including some more of those in there. And but I do have some other thread up. If you're interested in selling or interested in seeing the process, check out my other thread up videos. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those behind in the remarks. And thank you for watching. Appreciate it. You taking the time to watch. If you feel inclined, please like this on your way out and subscribe. And I will be doing more what sold videos and thread up videos and anything else anybody's interested in. Leave those in the remarks too, and I can include those also. But thank you and have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.